Hello and welcome to episode 14 of the Empowered Hearts podcast. We have a very special guest with us today, Arielle Coree, who is a cosmic channel. She has channeled also a 9D energy healing frequency. She's also a spiritual mentor and an energy healer, all encompassed into one, and also a business owner, and does all of this as well. As a
As a
business
mom.
and
Yep.
as a mom.
Yeah.
So welcome, Arielle, to the podcast.
Welcome. We're
Thank you.
so excited to have you.
I'm so excited to be here. You'll probably hear my daughter Yara in the background at some point. I am all of those things plus a mom. So I'm really excited to be here.
Well, that's okay. Kids and dogs and everything,
Yep.
cats, we have all of it. So
We do.
I will say I know a little bit about Arielle, and I know her medicine is so powerful. I was in Spain not too long ago, and my back has been a problem for me. And Arielle was able to channel like a private personal transmission for me, as well as worked on my back virtually, and was able to help me understand the energetics of what was going on, and then also infuse my body with ACHF, which is what she has channeled and used for my back. And so that's my personal encounter with Arielle. And I don't want to I am not going to introduce this properly, so I want to give the floor to Arielle. Share more about this.
I love it. Thank you. So yes, I back in 2020 channeled a 9D energy healing frequency, which I'm just learning how to really let sink into my cells of how massive that is. Because for me at the time, it just kind of happened, and it's just been a part of my world for the past 4 years, and I forget how special even just that is. So ACHF comes from the ninth dimension. It stands for the Aquila Celestial Healing Frequency. It is cosmic, it is celestial, it is so potent and powerful. My big belief is that the era of Reiki is over. I love all of you Reiki practitioners, but it is over. Reiki, the role of Reiki in this realm was, I believe, to forge the path for more potent cellular healing, and ACHF is that. So the fact that I can channel into someone's physical vessel, into their energetics, from my home in Colorado all the way in Spain, and have it feel just as strong as if I was in the same room as you, channeling just speaks to the depth and the power and the potency of this frequency. And also, the healing itself lasts longer. The integration period is longer. The depth that it reaches in the physical body is deeper. It's just all around. One of my clients years ago dubbed it Reiki on crack. And I really can't think of a better way to describe it, because it is everything and so much more than what Reiki has been. And also because so few people in this realm are attuned to it right now, which is changing, the potency is there, the integrity of it is there. There's not an ounce of false light in it. It is the most magical thing on this planet.
I agree. I daily receive Arielle's healing transmissions that she channels with ACHF, and they are incredible. Incredible.
I used this morning the root chakra one, and then every single night I use the sleep one, and then I use the financial abundance ones, and I haven't needed to go back to my back one. So that's amazing.
Awesome.
So if you were to explain this to somebody who's literally has no idea, A, what it means to channel something, and B, what a 9D cosmic energy is, can you dumb it down so that we can understand at the best you can? I know that there's a moron to say, but the best you can to help explain it in layman's terms.
Yeah, so as a channel, there's 7 main clairs for anybody who is psychically awakened and using their abilities. One of my main clairs I have three lead ones, but one of the main ones is my claircognizance. So information, wisdom, it all just drops down into my mind. My daughter also has it. There is so few things I have taught her in this world, and so many things she just knows. And you ask her, and I'm actually going to use this example because it beautifully dumbs it down to like a 4-year-old perspective, which I think is powerful. I'll ask her like, how do you know that? Where did you learn that? And she's like, my soul just knows. And so channeling, to me, the way it works, my channeling journey really started with automatic writing. And I noticed as I was doing, a yellow butterfly just flew by. I noticed as I was doing this automatic writing practice first thing in the morning, before my mind was fully online, before coffee hit my body, where you're still in that like in between, I can kind of pee and barely function, but I'm not like totally out of the astral dream realm. I would just start writing, specifically at my computer, and I would just start typing. I would have frequency music on, and I did too. I didn't notice what was happening until I started reading back through what I was writing, that there would be very consistently at a certain point in the automatic writing where the tone changed, the sentence structure changed, the flow of what I was talking about, the content of what I was talking about shifted. And you could tell really clearly through reading back through this in 2019, leading up until when I channeled the frequency, what was happening, which is that my channel was opening. I was also newly postpartum. It was during a pandemic. So my human exposure to other ideas, to other elements, to other people's energy was so small. I was like cocooned in just my energy and my daughter fresh from the spirit realm's energy. And that was pretty much it. And my channel just cracked wide open. At that same time, I started working with the energy that I had always felt throughout life in my hands, but never really understood. And I had this push and pull for a long time of, do I have to understand what I'm doing, or can I just trust that there's healing moving through my body and trust that it's working? Those two things, my exploration of the healing in my hands, really leaning into Kundalini mantra meditation, the automatic writing, it all kind of came together. And suddenly I would be sitting there for hours waiting for Yara to wake up, even before the sun came up. And I was like talking about Zamir and talking about the Aquila, specifically the name Aquila. And I was like, okay, there's something here. So it just dropped into my channel as far as what the frequency was, what it was called, what it was here to do. My attunement to this frequency happened in the astral realm. And so I actually was astral traveled to the 9th dimension with Zamir, the lead elder of ACHF, and attuned in this forest of rainbow eucalyptus trees. It was really magical.
Love it.
All of that will be in a book one day that I'm writing currently, but that's that. Your soul just knows.
That's wild.
I love it.
I have so many questions. Do you have any questions, Krystle?
I kind of know a lot about it. And I've also decided that I'm going to take her attunement program.
Okay. So yeah, so Arielle does also offer like, so the attunement that you learned in this experience that you were attuned to, I'm definitely not giving this enough credit with my vocabulary. I just want to say that. But for the attunement that you were blessed to receive, now Arielle does that, shares that with other people, and it spreads the medicine. Like, this is just so wild to me. How, like, I've attempted to do energy healing. To me, it seems like a lot of work. Like, I'm like, I don't have the commitment with it. And so I was like, I cannot be doing this every day. Like, this is just too much for me. It didn't like hit me in the spots where I felt like this will be great to do as a job. No. And so I'm just so fascinated when you guys share with me, because it's just fascinating. And I know other people are excited to hear. So how did you know that this was just like a 9D? Again, like, was it just your soul? You just knew?
As far as where it came from, is my sound okay? I took my headphones out.
It's just like
Yep.
a little crackling. I don't know.
Okay. As far as how I knew what dimension it was coming from, that information all came through in the astral realm and then was confirmed when I sat down and I was like, okay, I meant to bring this to Earth, and part of Earth is being able to explain something that came from a different dimension that people here in the third dimension will understand, may or may not think I'm crazy, like give me all of the details. And I specifically remember in October of 2020 sitting down at my computer and writing the entire origin story of the Aquila Celestial Healing Frequency, as far as the specific portal that you access it from, which is the 16th regimented portal. Part of my attunement before being in the forest was in the astral realm, guarding this portal. And
Wow.
I didn't realize it at the time, but I was coming back to my human form after astral traveling, and I was writing about like these jobs. I was portal planting, I was portal hopping, I was portal guarding, and specifically I was always at this 16th regimented portal. And suddenly I got to actually enter through this portal that day, and that's when I was attuned to the frequency. And so I knew it was the ninth dimension, I knew it was the 16th regimented portal. I knew that Zamir was one of the ACHF elders who was assigned to me. I know that I was chosen to bring this frequency from the moment my soul chose to incarnate in this human body, in this earth realm. And it took me up until 2020 to remember, oh, that's why I'm here.
I love
And
that.
so a lot of the details came through that automatic writing, just kind of downloading after my astral travel experiences.
That's
Do
beautiful.
you? I have one. First of all, I'm super excited to read your book when it comes out. Like this, I absorb this like a sponge. I have similar experience when I do energy healing too. So I'm like truly fascinated by it. And for our listeners, when you channel and go into like the astral realm, I guess you could kind of describe it as like a dreamlike state. It's similar to that, I guess, right?
Yeah, I always compare it to lucid dreaming.
Yeah, exactly.
Mhm.
What so far, and I know most or like all of your healing sessions have great success stories, but is there one that stands out for you?
Ooh, that's hard. Um, so there's two ways that I send healing to people: a transmission, which is sort of like a hybrid of a guided meditation, sound healing, light language, and it's infused with ACHF. And then I have virtual healing sessions, which is more of what Morgan experienced when she was in Spain, and I actually live went in to her energy. I think my favorite so far, there's two. One, I helped a soul in Ireland crossover.
Mm,
He was passing away,
wow.
and it was during the pandemic, and none of his family could be around.
Oh my gosh.
And my client reached out to me, and she was like, I got his permission. Can you send to him? There was a lot going on with the lungs collapsing. Um, it was one of my favorite things.
That's incredible.
I actually brought other people that had crossed over into his room, and we were all
Mm,
surrounded around him.
I have chills now.
And yeah. Um,
Wow.
and we helped him cross. And going back to his granddaughter and sharing everything that I helped
Mm,
happen during that session, the synchronicities and the alignment of who I brought in and the messages that came through and what he had said, all of that was really, really special. It was the first time I had actually used ACHF to help someone transition. So that was really special. And then there was a follow-up session a couple months later with just additional messaging and like how he is on the other side for
mm,
that family. Another top one, which is the polar opposite journey here in on Earth, is helping my client Steph bring her baby Ava Earthside. Steph entered my world back in 2018 when I was giving oracle card readings for $11. And I remember doing an oracle card reading for her. She really wanted to have a baby, was struggling with fertility stuff. And our journey continued, but it really morphed into nervous system work and her own attunement to ACHF and really working on her feeling safe in her physical body, healing a lot of trauma. And then that morphed into me being an IVF doula, as she and her husband call me, and supporting her through the entire IVF process. Then I was her pregnancy doula, also with ACHF, and now I'm supporting her in a postpartum perspective. Ava came a month early. I cleared traffic accidents so her family could drive from Florida up to New Jersey to be with her in time. I helped keep her out of NICU. She was born with some not so great vitals, and down to the exact ounce that she needed to keep her out of NICU, we got her. And then
Wow.
also helped her heal jaundice and make sure that the bilirubin and all of that was at a good level. So death and birth, I think
Yeah.
those are my two favorites so far.
It's incredible.
That's wild. I have chills and I'm tearing up.
So do I. I know, me too.
It's
That's
beautiful.
amazing. Oh,
So, I mean, I will say I know that this wasn't always your journey, and what makes you such a beautiful healer and guide is that you have a real deep understanding of the 3D realm pain, I will say. And I think that makes you like very, you can help different souls in more at more depth because of your understanding. And I don't like want to bring you all the way back, but if you could just share maybe a little bit of your journey to how you got here, and just the idea of the podcast is to really show people that we can empower ourselves and we don't have to be our stories. You know, me with my addiction, Krystle with finding her voice and her power and boundaries, and the guests. And so it's less about like telling the story of trauma, but showing how you have ended up here, because this is such a powerful, beautiful place to be that you're in.
First of all, the theme of empowerment is why I love this show so much, and I love your conversations. And I know you both personally as sisters and friends, and I know what you've both walked through, and I echo all of that back to you. I think what we all have in common is the ability to hold such beautiful, sacred space for people because we've walked through shit.
amen.
Man, I hated Earth. I hated feeling human. I never wanted to be here. It was my journey up until honestly like last year. Made me question a lot, like, what is the point of any of this? I was entirely disconnected from my body, numb, disassociated, always wondering, like, looking at the people that seemed happy and seemed peaceful, like, are you lying? Is that really something that you feel?
Yep.
I remember having like really big moments in my life happen and being like, I think I'm supposed to feel something now, and I still don't. So maybe that wasn't a big enough thing. And I was always waiting for like that big moment for me to feel like, oh, I'm alive again. I mean, sexual abuse, depression, bullying, like we all have our shit. And I definitely walked through a lot of it. Highly functioning and really, really good at putting on a mask of like, I'm totally good, until I was alone. And then I was like, this human thing sucks. I don't want to be here. And I think that goes for a lot of people, especially that are clairsentient. Because I'm feeling my trauma, I'm feeling the trauma of the collective, not really understanding even what that is, because I'm just navigating my human life. And it's funny because for the majority of my life, even though I've experienced really deep trauma, the narrative in my head was always like, I don't really think that's fucked up enough to equal how fucked up I feel.
Mm,
None of this makes sense. Like, why does this feel so hard? And it wasn't until I started using ACHF and also my somatic therapy journey that I realized the severity of everything that I had walked through.
yeah.
And one of my coping mechanisms was like, my dad wasn't around. That doesn't matter. That's not an excuse to be a shitty person because look at me. And I didn't want my trauma to define me, which is beautiful, but I also allowed that to be the reason why I didn't look at any of my trauma. And I just
Mm,
kept living and shoving it down. Because if I look at it, then it's going to define me in some way.
yeah.
And it's allowed now to define me. It's allowed to be a part of me because now through my somatic therapy journey, through ketamine therapy, through ACHF, I now understand it's just a part of my journey. And it's a part of my journey that's allowed me to show up the way that I do with my clients with the degree of empathy because I've walked it. I can hold people that have sexual trauma. I can hold people that have abandonment issues. I can hold people that have suicide ideation because I've walked it. Like,
Yeah.
I can see you because on some level, we're one and the same.
Mm,
Unique
yeah.
journeys, but like a similar thread that has connected us. And I remember it was last summer, I started ketamine therapy with my amazing somatic therapist here in Boulder. I started it in April. And I remember in May being in the medicine, and I constantly was weaving ACHF throughout these sessions. And I felt my heartbeat for the first time in my entire life. I would go to the doctor and be like, good luck finding my pulse. I can't find it. I could put my hand on my chest and feel nothing. And it was the first time that I was like, I feel my heartbeat. I am alive. Like,
Mm,
I'm actually alive. And on that day, I swear to you, the way that I've showed up for my clients, for my family, for myself has never been the same.
oh.
Because suddenly I was like, I'm allowed to feel alive. It doesn't
Mm,
have to be like alive on paper and dead on the inside or empty on the inside. And I still have so far to go to access pleasure and joy and all of this, but it's like every time I connect to the frequency, it reminds me like I get to be human and cosmic at the same time and I get to feel alive. And that just
mm,
was not my journey for the longest time. And so creating a sense of safety, whether it's in cosmic advisory or attunement, and allowing my clients, guiding my clients to come back home to themselves, to feel their heartbeat again, to feel breath and like allow it to get even deeper, like that is why I'm here. I don't know why I had to walk through the shit I had to walk through. I don't know why any light workers do, any humans do. It's not fair. It's an answer I'm still trying to come up with, but the best one I can come up with is it allows for you to show up with empathy. And
mm,
I don't think there's enough people, especially in the spiritual space, doing that because they haven't done their own work.
mm. That
I
lands.
this brings me, I have such a similar story in the senses like that's exactly how I felt. Right. And I'm still, this is the first time in my life where I'm really learning joy and like that it's safe to follow your heart. Like, oh, that's it. Like that was not a thing. Like following your heart and doing what makes you happy was actually scary compared to being in a dumpster fire of trauma, because that's what I know, that's what's safe. And so I'm going to continue doing that because following your heart, I don't know about that. And I echo everything you said about like not feeling alive, being dissociated, like literally looking at people. I laughed when you said that because I would look at people, same thing, and be like, what, like, are we in the same universe? Like, how are you walking around enjoying your life? Like, hello. And it just, I think it's the deep trauma does affect us. We at such a young age. And I want to bring something like, something in here. The other day I was in a hypnosis session and I was brought to view my energy and I got a glimpse of my parents' energy and just like energy on a whole. I don't think I traveled realms necessarily. I just was able to fade out the 3D. And I laughed. And I was like, my dad's kind of an asshole. And my guy, my hypnosis guide was like, why is that? And we guided through the being a human, like our lessons that this was the information I received. Being a soul and needing to expand your soul's capacity is just that. It's a fact. We don't take into consideration the human aspect and all of the, emotions we have to go through to grow our soul. So we sign
Mhm.
up for all of these things. We're like, yep, it was very factual, the energy that I got from it. And it was like, man, like being a human, there's a whole other, that is harder than being a soul,
Mhm.
you know?
So
So
true.
yeah, the empathy piece is it's beautiful to have, and like why we have to go through all this stuff. I don't think we pre-consider that, I think it's just like we have our soul and that's all we're here to do. And then we're like,
Yeah.
oh,
Earth school.
go enjoy being a human now.
Yeah.
I feel like that's where the balance is happening for a lot of us who have evolved so much as a soul. It's like human, spiritual, and it's like where is that middle point where you can, like what you said, Arielle, like be a human and in the spiritual realm at the same time, and they can both exist together. But I do want to share the most powerful message that Arielle shared with me, and I have never related so much to this. So she forwarded me a message that she sent to her client, and it was about feeling like you've lived your entire life holding your breath. Makes me emotional because I feel like we can all relate to that, and to points where I would literally hold my breath and like almost pass out at the nail salon and be like, what is wrong with me? But it's because I had also walked a path of trauma, and you just learn that as like a coping mechanism, right? And the space that she creates with her clients is a space where it actually allows you to exhale. And I was like, whew, that is so powerful and potent, where you can create a space for anyone, no matter what they've walked through, they can come in and they can breathe again and feel safe. And that to me was, it landed so hard. Yeah.
I
Thank
think this
you.
is like the beautiful part about being a healer. We all have this in common. This is making me emotional now.
I know.
We all we all are like
Uh,
strong soldier souls that know we can handle all this stuff. We go through all this stuff that the collective may not be able to handle, and then we are used as a tool and a guide to assist others from not being able to function because we can handle it.
mhm. Amen.
And
Yeah.
it's like, this isn't from like an ego perspective of like, ooh, look at all this. No, I didn't want to handle all this, but we did, and we get
Mhm.
to use our gifts now to help others evolve, because without us being the anchor, like I don't know where other souls would go.
It's so true.
Yeah. I mean, people have to see what's possible.
Yes.
Mhm.
So there's a lot of healers who maybe have walked through this, but they're not sharing about it. They're not talking about it. And I have so many clients that enter my world because they're like, hey, you're not just sunshine and rainbows all the time. Like you're talking about the real life parts of integration, of healing, of purging, of working through shadow and what the fuck that even means, and how do I raise a child who's more gifted than I am and keep that safe. It's like people have to see what's possible. And so if you're just showing up as the fully ascended, I channel this frequency and therefore I have no hard days, like you're doing a massive disservice to the entire collective, because that is so far from how they're feeling in that moment. And it's
Mhm.
like to show up in your human, to show up on the days where you are going through the valley of death, like those are the moments that are actually going to bring your dream clients in, because they're like, yeah, I know that valley of death.
Mhm.
And if you're walking it, you can also walk with me. And that's how I approach my containers. That the moment of exhale comes because we focus on internal safety. And once the nervous system feels safe to feel fucking anything, then the exhale comes, and then everything that's suppressed comes. And then we
Mhm.
can actually get to work, whether it's spiritual awakening, business stuff, attunement. Like it starts with safety.
Mm,
Yes.
yeah. Yeah.
Oh, this is such a beautiful conversation.
It really is.
It really is. It's made me emotional. So all this is to say, so your journey and then ACHF, and like, so how has it been? This is more like of a logical question. How was it for you to then be like, okay, I have this amazing frequency I can offer other humans. How was your integration journey sharing that with the world?
Oh man. I
That
mean,
was
I feel like
a burp. I was like, here we go.
I did. Um, I mean, that was harder than channeling the frequency, and it
Mhm.
still is hard. I do feel like I'm finally at a point in my journey where I can own it without fear. I mean, talk about the witch wound. I have memory of multiple past lives where I was killed and sent away for doing the identical thing I'm doing now.
Mm.
Layer in trauma from very early childhood, continuing on with that theme of lack of safety. I was
Mhm.
like, this doesn't feel safe. And so I would share it in little bursts. Both Krystle and Morgan have heard this story. When I was attuned to ACHF, I was shown ACHF, the full scope of ACHF, not just like what it looks like today in 2020, like the full, my entire lifetime, and even after I pass away, what this frequency is. And in that moment, I was like, am I the right person? Are you sure, Arielle? Like that's who you're tapping to bring this here? I think you might have gotten it wrong. And I kept having this vision of this massive window way, way up high, almost like in a old church where like I'm way down at the bottom, and up by the bell there's like that glass, but it was huge, and I was holding on with every ounce of my strength onto this braided rope, like one of those that you climb in gym class, and I'm holding onto it and it's buckling, and I'm trying to keep it shut from the inside. And for years, Zamir, the universe, God, everybody was like, let go of the rope. And I was petrified of what was on the other side of the window. I was petrified of being seen, even as a projector, that being the very thing that I crave most in life is to feel seen. My ability to see others is unmatched. And yet I'm like hiding from the world because I literally feel feared for my life. Like that is what my body feared.
Mm.
And then I had someone in a similar field of work entirely personally attack me in a really passive aggressive way, claiming that I was spreading darkness with my work and warning people that were really close to me. And I completely shut down. I backed away. I was serving my regular clients that I knew trusted me, and I trusted them, and that was that. And it wasn't until I worked on my nervous system with the somatic therapy, with the ketamine work, actually started allowing myself to receive my own medicine, because for the first 3 years of ACHF, it wasn't for me, it was for the rest of the world,
Mm.
which was just the theme for everything in my life. Good water, good food, that's for my family, not me. And the message that Zamir kept giving me was, it's time to receive your own medicine. And so I started receiving my own medicine, started doing the nervous system work, started expanding my capacity, not for the trauma, because that stuff I was really good at holding. Started expanding my capacity for feeling seen, for speaking my truth, for trusting that I was safe, for success. And it's never been the same since. I still have moments where I'm like, this feels a little scary.
Mhm.
But the more that I talk about it, it's just like strengthening any muscle. It comes from sovereignty, it comes from empowerment, it comes from safety. And the more that I can fully embody who I am as a cosmic channel, a founder of ACHF, an energy healer, the more normal that's going to feel in my system. So it's just disrupting all of the old patterns with like, this is who we are now, and just inviting my higher self in more. But like, that was one of the hardest journeys, was to actually bring this to earth.
It
Yeah.
sounds like it's really well received, though. I mean, you've had so many successful stories. I know some of them, and
Mm.
like, is there anything you want to touch on that? Like, is there anything, have people been like, ooh, this seems weird, or is it just really well received now? Because
Yeah.
I feel like after this hump of going through this scenario with this other person and stuff, but now, how, like, do people, I feel like people receive it well.
I mean, yeah, I in the past 2 weeks sent out 1,000 free healing transmissions to people who know very little to nothing about ACHF. They just see my page. They saw a reel of me doing ACHF with trending audio over it. They knew nothing, and they were like, transmission, send me the transmission. And on the back end, I was explaining what this actually was. And so this is the one of the reasons why I'm really excited for the work you're doing, Morgan, because there is so much proof. There is so much more proof of people being open to it, of the world being ready for it, of people trusting it and respecting it, looking to me like, wow, I want this in my life. I trust you. And so little proof of people that are like, you talk to aliens, you're crazy, and also you're doing harm in the world. Like, I can count on one hand how many people have actually stoked the fear within me. But the trauma brain is so powerful.
Yes.
Mhm.
And so things like hypnosis, things like energy healing, like that's what's going to help us interrupt the cycle, because I have quantity wise so much more proof of people being ready for it, of its effectiveness, of all of these miracles that have landed because of ACHF. And still, on the days where my human feels triggered, I look to the 2,
Yeah.
3, 4, 5 people that have doubted me, and I'm like, I'm not safe.
Yeah.
And so our real work as people that are doing this type of work is to hold ourselves in those moments and use the very tools that we bring to our clients to get us back to like, no, this is truth. Because trauma will feel like truth over and over and over again until you consciously and energetically disrupt it.
Can you, this, as you're speaking, I'm receiving, and I'm like, I wonder what can or cannot ACHF do? Like, what would it be
Mhm.
for?
I have yet to encounter something that ACHF cannot help support, transmute, call in, shift, truly. So challenge me is my
Well, like,
invitation.
let's, well, okay, so let's do it from like body perspective. So I know it can help with pain, and we know it can bring
Mhm.
life. We know that it can help cross people over, but give me some other pieces of, like, for people that don't know, just like blast it here. Like, what can ACHF help with in, like, that you've had maybe had experience with, just to give it, just to help people understand, to give it a broader perspective.
Yeah. So I never, my legal disclaimer aside, I never guarantee a specific result. That's like another layer of fear that I'm working through. So I'll speak to what I have seen happen with clients in the past. I have stopped and shrunk a brain tumor for
Wow.
someone here in Colorado,
Yeah, that's incredible.
to the point where her doctor was like, we've tried all of the things and nothing was working, and what have you done? And I had a one-on-one intensive session with her, and she listens to my transmissions regularly. She's been to my in-person events. So that one was pretty amazing.
Mm.
I have helped heal Lyme disease in my own body, helped with pain, fibromyalgia, depression, anxiety, broken bones, ligament injuries, miscarriage healing, preparing the body for IVF, preparing the body for conception. I helped drain fluid in the lungs of an infant who had pneumonia.
Wow.
Um,
Incredible.
there's a lot for the physical body.
Wow.
Shrunk
Mm.
fibroids in the uterus, in the ovaries. I don't remember where they were. So that's a physical body. The energetic, so ACHF is a powerful energy healing frequency, but it also works as a powerful activator and amplifier. So activating someone's ability to connect with and speak light language, activating their own healing abilities, amplifying things that are for them to clear out of their own energy, whether it be karmic cycles, trauma. This is another way that it really differentiates between your standard energy healing, because so many healers go in and they scoop up and they clear out. And as an ACHF attuned practitioner, it's your job to use discernment and work closely with the ACHF elder to determine if you're bringing it up to amplify it so that they then work on it, or if you're bringing it up to clear it out. And so learning the difference between those two and attunement is important. Big money manifestations. I have had people from like, the airline keeps denying my flight credit. I did your transmission. Suddenly they've changed their mind, even though I've asked 7 times, to getting a $20,000 HELOC loan, to a house successfully selling that on paper probably should not have, because they didn't even have the inspection back in time and it was the day of close. I mean, there's really manifesting dream homes, helping with grief, so much with grief, integrating it, not clearing it out of your body, but actually integrating it. Rebraiding of the DNA structure. Like there's so many mind-blowing things. I'm like, did I just do that? And it's
Manipulate
really
the
beautiful to
weather.
see the practitioners that I'm attuning also doing those things and coming back and sharing with me, like, this is what I just did, bringing plants back to life that were dead. I have a student in attunement right now, and she just sent to this rose bush that has just been brown since her son gave it to her. No life in it whatsoever. Green now, and she sent me a rose bud this morning. She was
Wow.
like, this is the only thing that has changed. Connecting you to spirit guides. I mean, there's really, that's why I say I have yet to see something I can't help with.
Oh my God, it's fascinating.
I know.
This is absolutely
I
fascinating.
know.
I'm just taking it all in. Wow. So is it safe? I
Love it.
feel like I can safely say this, that your journey, you've walked through so much, and your journey really is a journey of empowerment, yes, but I will say also a survivor.
Mhm.
And like, look at the magic that you have created in this world. And you're just at the beginning. Like,
Yeah.
how old are you? I feel like you're very young.
33.
33. You're just at like there's so much life left to be lived. And I know that growing up with the heavy amount of trauma that you've been through, like we said earlier, it can feel like there's no point. It really can. And like, look at what you've been able to accomplish. And I just want to mirror that to people listening, that like, if you are dealing with something, your journey might not be a healer. Your journey might not be to become a healer, but just you not stopping, like, you can accomplish life. And it doesn't have like, and just being able to feel life in the body is so worth living for. Because like myself, I couldn't, like you, like myself, and Krystle, what you shared earlier about being at the nail salon and holding your breath, like, the whole point of being here is to experience life. And so when that is cut off, for us, it really does feel like there's no point. And so this, your story and who you are, and then this is like on top of your beautiful story, this being able to access ACHF is like the cherry on top. And so I just want to mirror to you and people listening that like, don't give up, because there's so much life to be lived, and you have lived so much life in such a little amount of time. Like, I can't wait to talk to you in 10 years from now and
Yeah.
say what you're going to be doing. You're going to be like, I can't even imagine.
I'll be back on the show.
Yes.
Yeah,
I love it.
my biggest like homework for people that enter specifically Cosmic Advisory, which is like mentorship and energy healing combined, is like, I'm proud of you on the days where the only thing you can do is brush your teeth. I'm also proud of you on the days when like even that's too hard, because that I've walked.
Yeah.
So it's like allowing yourself to be, when the macros seem so far away from touching you being fully healed, it's like you're allowed to be micro and you're allowed to live moment by moment. But please find someone, whether it's a mentor, a healer, a guide of some kind, a friend, a sister, someone that can hold you in those moments. Like, just hold your human, not try to fix the human, but just hold the human, hold space for you, while also simultaneously holding the highest vision and the highest truth and the highest possibility for you. Because like, that's our job to fuel with prayer, with energy, with intention, is like for that to be. And you don't have to understand the jump. You don't have to even entertain the thought of that being possible, because I know how impossible it feels. But just don't be alone in the moments where you can't get out of bed. Like, just find one person to be like, I see you. And then make it moment to moment. And I promise you, the highest vision and timeline, it does arrive. Like, it has to.
It will.
Holding
Always.
is so important. Holding the faith and knowing, like, for me, it was always, I just had like, on my darkest days, I somehow had this knowing that it just was meant to be better. I didn't know what it was, like you said, your soul just knows. I just knew, like, this is not where I'm supposed to be. I don't know how I'm getting out of it, but like, just the idea is it's going to be better. And that's the only thing I could hold on to. And it does get better. It does get better, but you just have to, yes, having somebody hold you and not fix you, because, and I say that in quotations, because we can find people that often are just like, I don't know what to do with you. You're like not good, and they want to fix. And fixing is the opposite of what we need. We need to be in it. We need to feel it. We need to feel our way through it and just know that we're loved.
That's like kind of how I feel about mentorship, is like you just always meet them where they're at.
Yep.
Even if that's just like, I'm going to sit down next to you on the couch and wrap a blanket around us, and we're going to sit here together in this, whatever it is you're feeling, whatever it is you're moving through, and just having someone meet you where you're at is the most safest feeling that allows you to breathe.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, I don't have to do anything to change this. I can be here and I'm still held. I'm still seen.
Yeah, I think even if you're not a healer, learning how to attune to another soul is really important. Like, just attune to them, just sit with them. I tell my clients all the time, there was this graphic that I saw one time of two beings facing each other, kneeling, and their knees were touching, their hearts were facing each other, and their foreheads were touching. And so my clients know when I know that they're off and they don't want to talk about it, or it's too triggering, I'm like, I'm right here, knees to knees, forehead to forehead, heart to heart. Like, it's just, I'm right in it with you.
Sunshine just came out as you said that.
And it's true, because as a clairsentient being, when you're working with someone in close proximity, you feel what they feel. That's the most powerful. That is one of my strongest gifts, is clairsentience. And a lot of the times I resisted it because I'm like, this is a lot. Like, I'm feeling too much. But now, like, when I go into like an energy healing session, I want that information. I want that information, like in mentorship and like a one-on-one. I want to feel what you're feeling.
except for when I've transferred my energy to you today.
No, you didn't. We didn't transfer. I'm like, what planet is Morgan on? And I hopped on it when I woke up.
So Arielle, we, at the end of our podcast, I'm sure you know, we ask each other and now our guests, what does it mean to have an empowered heart? And essentially what that means is, well, however you receive it, like what does it mean to feel empowered and to be in your heart today? And however you express is perfect.
I think since we're in the theme of making it digestible,
Okay.
I would just say to continue on living
Mhm.
despite what you've been through, because of what you've been through, and to make your goal that moment where you place your hands on your heart and you actually feel it beat for the first time. Like that moment of I'm alive, I'm worthy of being alive, I'm ready to feel alive. I think that was the day that I actually had an empowered heart.
That's beautiful. Morgan?
I will say the current theme for me right now to have an empowered heart is faith over fear and faith over fear. Just like I am going to butcher this, but I think it was Henry Ford or somebody that said,
I love it.
I don't know why I'm saying Henry Ford, but maybe it is. That said, faith and fear are both things that are something like invisible that you need to think about. But that's not the saying. Am I making sense though? There are two things that you need to believe in that are non-existent that to lean into. So pick one. What are you gonna do?
Yeah.
Gonna pick that. We'll have to Google this and I'll write this out because this is terrible what I've just said. how I've articulated it. So I, for most 99.9% of my life, have been in fear constantly. I'm like, nothing is going to work out. Don't take that on subconscious brain, but nothing is going to work out. Nothing is going to work out. I'm scared. Everything's terrible. And that has been like my programming going on in the background constantly. Like that is how I viewed life. And I have decided to change that to everything is going to work out. Everything is happening for me. I can live in the moment because I don't need to worry about tomorrow because I am empowered today and tomorrow I can handle tomorrow. I don't need to prepare today for tomorrow because I trust myself and I got my own back. And so this has been like revolutionary lately. And so faith over fear is like my theme.
I love
Beautiful. I love that.
I'm going to Google that thing just out of curiosity.
Do it.
Say it out loud properly. You, Krystle?
Okay. Yeah. I'm like leaning into this. So right now, currently in my life, I actually feel a little lost. And I don't know that I've ever felt this feeling because I always let my desires be like my guiding light, and they still are. But right now, I literally can't see how things are unfolding around the corner. And I also feel really safe in it. And so for me, an empowered heart would be like, how can I feel like the ground beneath my feet right now and just be present in where I'm at and just know that, I'm headed in the right direction.
That's beautiful.
Thank you.
Okay, so it's Bob Proctor, not Henry Ford.
Way off. That's okay.
Strange thing about faith and fear, they both demand you to believe in something you cannot see. That's it. So yeah.
Profound. I love it. My clock says 1, 2, 3, 4.
Of course it does. Arielle, is there anything else you want to share before we go?
No, I think just thank you. Thank you for having this show, for following your dreams, and having conversations like this. I think it's really important. And That was Yara.
She's like, I'm over this.
She's like, "Can we go to the pool now?"
Yeah.
And if you don't follow me, and if you don't follow me on Instagram, Arielle the Cosmic Channel, and I'd love to.
We'll put your information in the show notes.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you so much, Arielle and Krystle.
Thank you.
Guys so much.
Love you.
We'll see you next time.
See you next time.